Dear Santa, I have been very non-compliant this year. Hey there folks, how you doing today? Hope you're having a good morning. Fair warning, the majority of what I'm going to do in this video here today is talk. Okay, so for those of you who are still watching, thank you. This video is going to kind of be all over the place today. There's going to be several topics discussed. They do all tie together, so please be patient with me. I do have points to make here. And keep in mind that the content that I'm covering in this video today is intended for folks who have kind of been following along for the past 6 months or so. If you haven't seen any of the other videos on the channel in the past 6 months, this video probably will be irrelevant to you. And as always, we're filming on location here out in the barn today to keep the noise to a minimum. That being said, bear with the sound of the wind blowing, the roosters crowing, traffic on the road a couple hundred yards that way. You're going to hear some things in the background. As always, I will try to speak up above it. For starters, today is the first day in a good long while that the temperature has been close to seasonally appropriate. I'm sitting outside on December 11th in a short sleeve t-shirt, and it is chilly. But it was hot yesterday, so I'm really enjoying this chilly weather, and I didn't even bother putting on a jacket. Fun fact, I tried to do this video yesterday. The problem was when I went into that shed right behind me here to try to get some of my stuff out so I could do it, I was quickly ran off of the property. So this morning, before I could even make this video, I had to deal with some home invaders. They've been dealt with. So for those of you that are adept, you probably saw in the video title that we're going to be talking about the Taurus GX4 today. This is, folks, my Taurus GX4. This is not a safe and empty weapon. Let me fix that for you. Okay, folks. Show clear. We'll keep it that way for the remainder of what we're doing here. Now, for those of you that have been following along, you know I bought this Taurus GX4 right after they came out, and I started doing videos on it because I was excited to see the new platform. I really had high hopes for this pistol. I've already done several videos on the Taurus GX4, and anybody who's ever done this kind of YouTube content before knows that for every minute that you see on film probably takes 5 to 10 minutes to produce. It really is a labor of love to produce this content. So I don't go over everything every time. And that causes some confusion with the viewers who tune in to watch the 4th video in a series, but they haven't seen the first 3, and so they start asking questions that were clearly covered in the first 3. I try to number the videos to kind of help people to watch them in chronological order if they have the time to do that, but I realize people are busy and can't always get around to that. Real quick, this is what I want to cover with the GX4. Out of the 6 months that I've owned it, I have carried it consistently for 3 months. The first month, I was carrying it in the UM tactical holster that I purchased from the shoptaurus.com website, as you will look back to the first Taurus accessory video that I did. I had trouble carrying it in that holster because it just did not fit my chubby little self like I wanted it to. I caught myself swapping it out for my P365 on numerous occasions. I purchased a second holster from CYA Supply Company, which was covered in the second GX4 accessory video. That holster is much better. So a little over 2 months ago, I decided to start carrying the GX4 exclusively for 2 months prior to my 6-month long-term review that I was planning to do for this pistol. It's easy to do a review on a brand new pistol, but it really does take some time and effort to gather enough data to put together something concise to show people. I'll try to show you some close-ups here in a minute. This thing is covered with cement dust, sawdust, pocket lint. It's dirty, it's grimy. It has been with me without being cleaned this entire time. I have taken it and fired it on numerous occasions during that 2 months. It's very easy to carry. It is second only to my SIG P365 in terms of my go-to for an EDC weapon. I still prefer my SIG P365. It is a slightly nicer pistol from an overall fit and finish standpoint. However, the Taurus GX4 has proven to be 100% reliable for me. Now, on that subject, I have had a couple of viewers in the past few months accused me of being a shill for Taurus. They say, oh, you don't say anything bad about the GX4. There's 11 videos online of guys misusing these things and causing problems with them. Again, we've covered a lot of that in the prior videos on this series. I can't speak for everybody else that's out there. I can tell you that my experience with the one that I have in my possession that I paid for out of my pocket has been 100% reliability. So is there anything about the GX4 that I would change if I could? Absolutely. The first thing I would change, really the only thing I would change about the GX4 as it came from the factory, I would suggest that they supply it with the AmeriGlow glow dot front sight that I have installed on it right now. That is available from the Shop Taurus website for a fee. It's about $30. It's going to be closer to $40 by the time the dust settles, but it is a worthwhile upgrade. I don't see any reason to change anything else on it. The trigger is fantastic. It's still very nice and tight, and I've had no issues. I know some folks have said that their sights have drifted on their own or come loose or whatever. This one has not. So while we're on the subject of the Taurus GX4, something that I have covered in a couple of the videos that has received quite a bit of viewer feedback, both positive and negative, are a couple of aftermarket accessories supplied by Lakeline LLC. So several of the folks that had posted comments on those Lakeline LLC videos indicated that they felt they were a little bit expensive, and also there were several comments that indicated that they didn't trust the use of the 3D filament in tactical applications, as I mentioned myself during those videos. So with that being said, I covered the pinky extension base plate in the second Taurus GX4 accessory video. I mentioned at the time that it appeared to be a 3D printed part. We got what appeared to be a 3D printed base plate that fit fairly well. There were several people that argued that point. I reached out to Lakeline LLC. They confirmed that it was a 3D printed part. At the time that I did the initial review, I dropped it several times. It does not fit tight. It has a little bit of play in it. However, to date, I've yet to pop it loose by dropping it on the floor. And I'm going to stop dropping it on the floor to determine whether or not it was going to stay intact after impact like that, because it didn't fit as tight as the factory base plate. At that time, I was not able to make the pinky extension base plate fail. Since then, I have had a couple of reviewers indicate to me that they had purchased Lakeline LLC pinky extension base plates and that they had later failed with loaded magazines. The complaint that I was receiving from the viewers was that the little tabs, the little slot here where the tabs on the magazine slide into the base plate, were fatiguing and stretching under a loaded magazine. I'll show you some close-ups right here. And as you can see, it does appear that the tabs on this magazine base plate are stretching. I've had this magazine loaded for a good while now, and it has not failed. However, it does appear to be showing fatigue. So that brings up my next point I'm going to cover. About a month ago, I posted a video on the 15-round extension base plate for the GX4 13-round magazine. You have to have a 13-round magazine in order to utilize this 15-round base plate extension, and that is because the spring in the 13-round magazine is longer than the standard 11-round spring. This base plate will not function with the shorter spring. So as you may recall from this video, when I first installed this base plate, I mentioned that I did not care for the use of 3D printed materials in tactical situations. I have also mentioned in the past that both the Lakeline pinky extension and the 15-round magazine extension are kind of pricey in the grand scheme of things, especially when you consider that all you're getting for it is a 3D printed piece of plastic. So with all of that being said, if you don't listen to anything else I say on this video, please pay attention to this part. This magazine loaded with steel cased ammo. We'll cover that more in depth here in a minute. Was loaded for about 3 weeks with 15 rounds of ammunition in it. Then something happened. The little slots on the side of this magazine base plate that hold the tabs at the base of the magazine are starting to fatigue. Now, Lakeline is well aware of this in the design of the magazine. They have this heel piece that slides on over the back end of the base plate, which kind of acts to hold those in. And this became evident to me when I went to get the magazine out of my safe for this review, and it was laying in pieces in my safe. So what appears to have happened is the plastic relaxed enough to where the force of the loaded magazine under the spring tension released the base plate off of the magazine, and it was laying in pieces in the safe, completely useless, and what I would describe from a tactical standpoint as a catastrophic failure. So I found all the pieces, I picked up all the pieces, I put it back together so I could show you this video. Pay close attention. Lakeline LLC, you need to do better. All the comments on those videos for the extended magazines and the accessories, there's lots and lots of varying opinions one way or the other on them, but one thing that keeps coming up that I think is paramount is to train and practice. Bob Gaylord wrote in just yesterday that he thought he would stick with 2 11-round magazines and practice reload drills. That's great. I can't think of anything better, especially in this day and age when it's hard to get ammunition. Ammunition's more expensive than it should be, and people don't always have the time to do all the training they need to do. I cannot emphasize enough, do those muscle memory drills, do that drawing from concealment, do the magazine exchanges. When you do make it out to the range, load a couple of rounds in your magazine and practice tactical reloads, practice emergency reloads, practice magazine orientation when you're doing your reloads. Well, I said before that I didn't have time to point out each individual comment that I wanted to cover the idea of in this video. This one here caught me as comical. Bruh, is that steel cased FMJ in your EDC? You know what? For starters, I have been shooting for a long time. I've been shooting steel cased ammunition for a long time, and I personally have never had a gun fail on me or ever caused significant damage to one shooting steel cased ammunition. I don't believe that the majority of you have. What I do believe is that there is an old wives' tale mentality on steel-cased ammunition that folks think it's bad for firearms. I will tell you this, in my collection in there, I have a couple of guns that will not function well with steel-cased ammunition. They just don't like it. But does it make it damaging to the firearm? Prove it to me. And while I'm not sure if it's the point he was trying to make, let me make this abundantly clear here for the record. No, I do not carry 115 grain full metal jacket 9mm ammunition in my EDC pistol for everyday carry purposes, for personal protection purposes. I don't do that. If I had to, I probably would. But given as the options are available, I carry a proper self-defense round, as any reasonable shooter should. Carrying full metal jacket ammunition in an EDC pistol really sets you up for liability in the terms of over-penetration and collateral damage. At this point in the game, I could drive 30 minutes in any direction and find a box of 9mm personal defense ammunition on the shelf. Are you going to pay a premium for it? Sure you are. But is it worth saving you from that in litigation? Absolutely. So I'm going to wrap this up now. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you'd like to see in upcoming videos. I will be trying to put out here in the very near future an end of year review video that kind of runs the gambit for stuff we've covered this year and gives a look into what we're going to be covering in the near future. Until that time, folks, I appreciate the comments. Like and subscribe if you can. Share the channel if you want to try to help defeat the algorithm. And like always, folks, take care. God bless.